looking at my, I'm also looking at this. Okay, let's see. All right, we're live. We're live. So, all right, very good. Well, welcome to ESTA Live. We're so happy to have you all here today. Today, we're talking to our pitchers. But before we get started, if you are watching us, please put your name and your state or city or country that you're watching from. Today, we're going to hear from pitchers. So we are excited to hear your questions. But we're going to give it a couple seconds for you to put your name and your city and state so we can say hello. How you all doing today on the feed right here?
Great.
All right, awesome.
It's good
Now,
to see you.
let me start with us real quick. Like, which state are you all from? So, Amy, where are you from? Where are you?
Arizona.
Arizona. Chris.
I'm in Oregon.
Oregon. All right, Landon.
Not a state at all. I'm in Ontario.
Oh man, you're in Canada, different country. All
Yeah.
right. All right. And Gordon, where you watching from or calling from or whatever?
I'm in good old California.
California. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's an international group right here, a national and international group right here, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we have Megan on from Chicago, Jeffrey Weiss from Burbank, California, Wayne, my husband from North Carolina, Fire Sticks from Chicago, James from Wisconsin, Antonio from Washington State. So all right. And James, because I connected with Dr. Amy a few weeks ago. So all right, great.
Yes,
So
my husband.
I think we have enough people now watching for us to get started. So again, welcome everyone to our show today. And I'm so excited because we have here with us a bunch of our pitchers for the elevator pitch competition taking place in Chicago next Tuesday. So let me just give a shout out for our conference. If you have not registered as yet, you're missing something, right? We're going to have a great time, great networking, just, wonderful panels, these wonderful folks pitching you, right? Getting to know these great folks who are bringing innovation to the esports world. So if you have not purchased your tickets as yet, what's stopping you, right, guys? What is stopping you? We have an exciting show planned. So I'm going to briefly introduce everyone, and then I'm going to have them talk about what are they pitching, what are they working on, and why should we care, right? And then I want you guys to be free to ask them questions, because the questions that you're going to ask these pitchers will help them finalize their pitch. All right. So today we have Chris Cook, co-founder of Majoring in Gaming. We have Dr. Amy Czyz, co-founder of Intent Brands. We have Gordon Hinkle, who's a president and CEO of College Esports International. And we have one other person, Landon, from FITGMR, but he's having some technical difficulties. So we're watching to see when we can bring him back into the show. So I am going to start by giving the baton to Amy. Amy, tell us a little bit about your company, what you're trying to do, and why are you pitching?
So my name's Amy Czyz, and I've been an eye doctor for over 20 years, as is my husband. And, about 2.5 years ago, I struggled like so many people do with not hydrating well and not drinking. And my husband would make fun of me all the time saying, you keep putting cancer sticks in your water. Why do you do that? Because I just don't like water. So he kind of challenged me, which he often does in a really great way, as good, partners do. And we came up with the idea of saying, why can't we make something with water actually have purpose? And as eye doctors, we're all about circadian rhythm. I love the science behind a natural sleep-wake cycle, because everything we do during the day, whether it's for work or for play, comes down to that rhythm. It governs everything from sunrise to sunset. And it's just what our bodies do. So we created circadian beverages. And we were discovered by a veteran in the video game industry who came to us and said, oh my gosh, gamers totally need this. And will you partner with me and help bring circadian beverages to gamers who are playing till all hours of the day and night and just want to live their best life and have a great experience? So we created Sly. Those are drinks that align with your circadian rhythm and taste good and just help gamers do more of what they love, which is play. So we're getting ready to bring them to market. And that's why we're in this pitch, is so that we can get Sly to market.
Awesome. And that's an interesting name, Sly. What, why do you call your product Sly?
It's sneaky, clever, good. And we have to sneak
Okay,
into
so
that,
on
and
the
it's good
slide.
for you too. Exactly. So, being healthy doesn't have to be boring or scientific. It can be really fun, and it's an advantage. I mean, when you're at your best and you're being your best you, I mean, that's your little ace in the hole. That's what this is all about.
Amy, are you
Awesome.
bringing us some samples in Chicago? I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working on it.
That's a
We're
good
working on it.
point. Good point, Gordon. Amy, we're going to hold you to that. We need some samples.
We're working on it.
But those of you who are watching, as these pictures talk about their products or their services, we want you to, ask questions, because if you need clarification on something, ask questions, because this is going to help them to solidify their pitch for next week. All right. So now let's have Gordon next. We're going to do girl, boy. So
Thank
Gordon,
you.
you're next.
First, I want to say thank you, Sharon, because just being in your class, learning from you has been fantastic, and getting to meet everybody from the Esports Trade Association has been a blast. So College Esports International is the company that I represent. So I'm the president. We noticed a few years back doing a lot of international educational projects in China, all over the globe, in different Asian markets. We noticed that the students were learning all these great skill sets from gaming, but nobody was really sharing with them how they could tap into career pathways through their passion of gaming. So we decided to start putting on big tournaments to not only showcase the fun and the gaming, the tournaments, and to help the college students to have a good time, but to also introduce them to industry leaders, career pathways where they could get plugged in, enjoy their passion for gaming, and maybe find a job opportunity through that passion. And it's amazing. There's literally, it's a $194 billion industry. There's broadcasting, digital marketing. There's all these great areas. The students are learning skill sets that are sought after by Fortune 500 companies, but they don't always realize that they can apply that to getting a job once they graduate, but at the same time have fun and do something they're passionate about. So that's what we do at College Esports International. We put together big tournaments. We have a partnership with the Sacramento Kings and the Kings Guard here in Sacramento. We're doing our second big annual tournament this year in September. So we'd like to invite everybody listening to come join us in Sacramento in September. But can't wait to come to Chicago and share what we're doing nationally, internationally, engaging with students all over the globe, and really tapping into the desire of students to be in this industry through playing video games and esports.
Awesome. So happy to have you here. And, Gordon just mentioned our class. And I wanted just to say, give a little bit of a shout out to our member benefits, right? So being part of our class is a member benefit. We hold an elevator pitch workshop for about 3 months leading up to the conference, 3 to 4 months leading up to the actual pitch day. And these wonderful students were faithful attendees. They honed their pitches and they practiced and they supported each other. That's the best part of our class, to see the support that you guys have for each other. It's really amazing. It's a real community. And I just really want to just give you guys my respect for that. Even yesterday, when you guys actually judged each other numerically, you guys were fair and balanced. And I couldn't be more proud of how you guys have gelled together as a community. So if you're not a member of Esports Trade Association, you're missing stuff like our elevator pitch workshops, right? All right, next up is Chris Cook, majoring in gaming. Chris, hello.
Thanks, Sharon. We just found the Esports Trade Association right before the pitch class started, and we are just so grateful that we did, because in majoring in gaming, we're needing to connect with a lot of industry people, and it's really helping. So majoring in gaming is actually a college search platform. It's free, and we have more than 400 colleges with programs in game design and esports on the platform. And along with the searchable database of that, we also have a lot of information that especially parents are interested in, like scholarships, internships, jobs. What can you do with a career in esports or game design? So we've got all these great resources, and there's a couple of reasons why we did this. Both Vicki and I, my partner, are educators, and together we have more than 50 years experience in higher ed, in administration and marketing and recruitment. So we know what it takes to get students to college, and we know how important it is that they find the right schools so they will stay in school. And this was highlighted a few years ago when her nephew wanted to go to school and study game design. And we looked high and low in all the normal search websites, and we couldn't find any information. So he ended up going to the local school, and he dropped out after only one term. And we don't want other kids to have this issue. You know, we want to be able to help students who might be the next designer of a Fortnite or might be a world esports champion. We want to help them get into the right schools so they can fulfill their dreams. And so we're very passionate about that, and just so excited to start meeting some partners that may come on and help us as sponsors.
Awesome. Well, we wish you great success with that. And last but by no means least, we have Landon right here from FITGMR. Hey.
Hey, I made it. Despite all the tech issues.
we were rooting. We're praying for you, buddy.
I didn't realize that on the mobile version of this platform, as soon as you move something, it crashes. But yeah, it's great to be here. Like you said, it's a really great community to be part of, and what FITGMR does, just kind of give that brief overview is, or I'll tell a quick backstory in terms of like my journey has always been gaming. I'm a gamer to the core. It's what I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe it essentially. We'll leave it at that. And coming through my teen years, I struggled with a lot of things. I struggled with the mental and the physical health. I struggled with like social anxiety, stuff like that. And what FITGMR does is it kind of helps to condense all of those things that I struggle with and provide clear and tangible ways to help work through some of these things. So work through the physical issues, work through the nutrition, work through the mental performance, work through the lifestyle, like all of these types of things. Because for me personally, one of the biggest issues was not so much that I was going through those things, but that I had zero idea of how to fix some of those things. And so trying to find a way to resolve that is like, how do we provide the most amount of resources to the most amount of gamers? And we can see big professional esport organizations now providing these types of resources to their players, but how does the average everyday gamer get access to this when they can't afford an army of professionals? And that's kind of what we were attempting to solve here at FITGMR. How do we take all those things that I struggle with, all the things that professional organizations are offering their players, and how do we condense it into a mobile app so that it is accessible to everybody, so that health, wellness, and performance isn't just for the best of the best, it's for every single person out there. And so that's what we do. We created a mobile app that allows people, or allows gamers to kind of start their journey into bettering themselves.
Awesome. And I keep seeing you guys in the news, right? You guys are doing exciting partnerships and stuff. I keep watching what you guys are doing. So I know there's a bright future ahead. And you know what I've said to these guys, for those of you who are watching, I said, hey, Amy and Landon, you guys should hook up. You know, Chris and Gordon, you guys should hook up. You're doing similar stuff. And when you guys get big independently, then start a conglomerate with you guys together, because you guys have so much synergy. So if you guys are watching on the feed and you have a question for Amy or Chris or Landon or Gordon, please feel free to put that in chat and we will answer for you. Just to give a brief overview of what's going to happen next week. These folks are already, they're already been primed for it, but it's going to be 8 pitchers. This is 4 of 8, 6 pre-selected and 2 wildcard winners. Look, we're going to choose a wildcard winner on Monday at a quick pitch. So if you have not signed up for our elevator pitch workshop, if you were not part of this great class, then you have one final opportunity to enter into the quick pitch competition on Monday. But if you want to enter the quick pitch competition, you got to come with your executive summary, because that's 20% of your vote, of your final vote. So that's Monday. Then Tuesday, these 4 contestants, right? Beauty contest, will be pitching with 4 others, and they'll have 2 minutes to present their brilliant idea to convince that judge and to convince you in the audience as well that their idea is worthy of funding and worthy of bringing to market. I can tell you, I've listened to it for like 4 months for their ideas, and they're all worthy of funding. And they're all worthy of, they're very impactful. So I know they're going to do great. It doesn't matter who wins, who gets the highest score. They all are winners in my book. And I'm not just saying that. The dedication and the passion that these folks have for what they do is just admirable. So, all right. So I'm going to ask one more set of questions, right? So I think like Chris a little bit touched on this with her and Vicky's story about her nephew. But I'm just going to ask, what is that deep why, right? So why are you doing this? What is that deep why? I know Landon touched a little bit on his too, but I'm just going to ask it again. You know, what is your why? Before you say anything, Amy, it says, hi, Amy, I have about 73 gamers across the world, including NFL players. How do you match the drink to the gamer? Are there multiple options? So, Amy, you were going to go first anyway with the why. Do you want to answer that question from Five Sticks Gaming? What 73 gamers across the world?
Yes. Hi, Fire Sticks. Thank you for joining the live show. The way that our drinks match to the gamer is we offer 3 formulations. That's the first thing. One is focus and concentrate. One is to relax, and one is to sleep. All of us need sleep, so that kind of applies to everyone. But we do recognize that gamers come to gaming with a different purpose. Some people want to hone in, and some people want to chill out. So we cross the gamut in that way. But the ingredients themselves are based on adaptogens, and adaptogens get into your body to help you manage stress and do what they do. So everybody's body uses them differently, which is so amazing and cool. So each drink is tailored to each gamer down to the molecular level, which is awesome. So I hope that answers your question, Fire Sticks. To get to our why, or my personal why. You know, circadian rhythm is really cool based on the science. You know, the fact that every cell aligns to that and it crosses sunrise to sunset. But the real deeper meaning for me on a personal level is beyond the science, no matter who you are, where you live, what you do, who you love, circadian rhythm is something that unites us. All of us follow that same sunrise to sunset. And so it helps us ground to ourselves, and it helps us connect to each other. And I think that's the driving ethos, mission, and culture behind everything that we do and everything that we create. It's something that we all get to share.
Gotcha. All right. Fire Stick says, thank you, Amy. All right. Thanks for that, sharing that. Gordon, your why, what's driving you to do what you do?
Yeah, there's a couple things driving us. The one big issue is I think that the students, especially a lot of colleges, don't have the resources or the ability to play in big tournaments or to organize their own tournaments. So through our platforms, we make it accessible to any college, university who wants to come play on the big stage. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like I mentioned before, the career pathways for students in esports is tremendous. And so we want to bring those opportunities to the forefront and share with the students how they can engage in industry, how they can get jobs once they graduate, doing something that they love. And there's so much fun in the esports industry. Otherwise, we wouldn't all be here today. I mean, we all see the growth and the potential, the connectivity. I mean, we have an absolute blast. Doing this for a living is a dream for me. I would like to see students have that same experience where they could work in a field that they're passionate about. So we try to bring resources, fundraising opportunities to the schools. We use the tournaments as kind of like a college fair, so the universities and the colleges can showcase their programs and all the offerings that their schools have. Some schools are better at broadcasting, some are better at different components, IT and different areas, whether it's robotics or innovation, the metaverse now, we're seeing huge opportunities with that expanding. So we try to highlight all these great innovations and technology through esports and fun tournaments. We want our tournaments to be the biggest, baddest tournaments in the nation that people want to come to every year. And what you were saying earlier really resonates big time with all the folks that I've met through this class. Everybody on this channel, I already feel like a winner. I don't care if I win the competition or not, because meeting these folks is what I'm here for. I plan to do collaborations with Chris and with Amy and Landon. The platforms that we create are to showcase all the stuff that they do. So I can't wait to find ways to find those collaborations and to highlight all these great ideas, because that's what CESI is all about.
Awesome. That's a great share. And you mentioned earlier, Gordon, says, like we all love esports, right? We're all here. And when we're done with this, what is your why? I want you guys to just say what was your background, because Gordon, I read your background, right? And it's not necessarily esports, neither is mine for sure. So, you know, it's such a big tent with esports, right? There's so many opportunities for everyone. If you're wondering, well, why would I be interested in esports? Well, as you said, Gordon, and I've seen some stats, I think esports income have now eclipsed movies and regular sports combined, right?
Amazing.
Esports income or
Right.
revenue already eclipsed movies.
Right. We were at a conference in LA.
It's crazy.
We were at CSU Dominguez Hills just a few months back, and we had a lot of leaders from the entertainment industry. And they said during COVID, the esports industry kind of kept Hollywood afloat. I don't think people realize that. When things were shut down, producers and everybody were going to gaming companies and doing projects online, talking about, you know, innovations with streaming and all the online activity kind of sustained Hollywood. So people don't realize that's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible for me to see. When we talk to the parents of the students participating in our tournaments, that's where I get excited. I had a parent from Loyola Marymount University come to me and say, hey, I was coming to this tournament to tell my son to stop playing video games and to get back into school. But learning now the connectivity to industry, I'm 110% behind this activity. And I just want to tell you have my full support. I was like, that's why we're doing this. That's exactly the reason. So it's something we're very passionate about, and we love connecting students to opportunity beyond even the gaming so that they can use their love and the skills that they get from gaming and connecting to use whatever life skill that they want to pursue.
Awesome. If you have a question for Gordon and what he's doing, please feel free to put it in the chat. Jeffrey Weiss says you're all winners. Chris, I know you mentioned, you know, the story about the nephew, Vicky's nephew. And so what is that? What's keeping you going? Is that your why? Like, wow, students need to know. Is that your why?
My why, and Vicky's why too, is just our belief in higher education and how important it is for the future of the world. You know, that there's so much out there, and students need to be able to find the right opportunity in higher ed. And I've seen that. I grew up with a dad who was an admissions director at a state school in New York. So, you know, from the time I was a kid, I was involved in admissions and recruitment, and, you know, since then have been a marketing director for universities. And so I've seen what happens when kids don't go to the right school. And I've also seen what happens when they do. And we started majoring in gaming because high school counselors were coming to us and saying, we don't have any resources when we get a kid that wants to go into game design or, you know, composition for games. We don't know where to send them. So that's why we focused in. And in doing so, realized that the parents, as Gordon was saying, the parents are like, oh no, don't do that. How are you ever going to make a living doing it? So we're trying to let the parents know that this is a very rich, rewarding career path, and that you should be supporting your student through it. So it's really just about getting people into higher education so they can have a better future and create a better world going forward.
Yes. You know, what I like about what you and Gordon did 2.5 years ago when I got into esports, when I began working with Esports Trade Association, I made it very clear that I was a non-gamer mom, right? Even though I have this gaming chair, my kids gave this to me for Mother's Day a couple of years ago. It's almost like a joke, right? Because I was the non-gamer mom. And when I got into the esports space and hear about all these opportunities for young people, that's what changed for me, right? And I always said, we need to educate parents on the benefits. We need to spend a lot more time educating parents on the opportunities. And when I met with April Welch last year at a conference, she was telling me what they were doing at IIT. I'm like, really? So now I don't poo-poo my granddaughter anymore for playing Roblox, right? I'm like, let me support you because maybe you may become something big. Who knows?
My son's big into Roblox, and I tell you what, Sharon, he started designing roller coasters. And he came to me a few weeks ago and he was showing me these amazing like roller coasters he designed. He's like, Dad, I want to be an engineer. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like he designed like full on like 3 or 4 different like complicated designs. I'm like, this is really inspiring to see the kids learning, and then figuring out what they want to do through the game that they enjoy.
Yes. I'll take Landon next before I have, because Gordon, you had a question and somebody else had a comment. So Landon, I know you shared your story with us in class, and which was powerful. So again, your why that make you want to get up and go to work every morning for FITGMR and to do what you do for gamers. What is that again?
Yeah, I think a big reason for what it is because kind of, I already alluded to it a little bit here, but I've been gaming since the moment that I could in life, and it's been such a core fundamental trait throughout my entire life. It's a guided decisions I've made. It's been the reason I've gone for my educational path. It's been such a driver for my life, but at the same time, there's been things that I've struggled with in my life, and I said like the mental and the physical health, the social aspect. There's a lot of these things that I went through, and so understanding that gaming is who I am, and I can see the things that gamers can go through. There's almost no question in my head that, like, why would I not want to contribute back? Because I've been through that. I understand the nuance and the context of what you're going through. And when we even look at something as simple as like tilt in a game, right? Because tilt is one of the things that I frequently have to work with. And it's like, okay, we can see that you're getting frustrated about the game, but why does something like a wide swing run and gun in Valorant actually make you that upset? We can look at it from an external perspective and be like, well, you should be able to regulate your emotions better. But like, why is that thing specifically causing an emotional breakdown or a tilt factor? Because I grew up in gaming, because I play games, because I live it, I eat, sleep, and breathe it. It's not just me seeing the issue itself and trying to fix the issue, but I can understand the nuance and the context of it. And from that really drives me, because I get it from a very internal and almost an internal sense, because I've been through that. It's just part of who I am. And so that's why I want to do it. I want to change the way that the next generation thinks and approaches gaming.
And this is the reason why I wanted to ask these folks about their why, because they have 2 minutes to present their pitch. And this is the real them, right? So if you're, for those of you who may be coming to Chicago, this is the real them. This is what's driving these folks. This is why they need to be funded, right? Because their heart and souls are into their mission. So now let me go to some questions. Okay, so let's ask, this is James Fudge says, how do you explain the importance of education when young kids see all of these players, content creators, making it big without going to college, but making millions of dollars? What are some of the things they can learn in college? What should they focus on that will benefit gaming esports as a business? Great question. Great question. Who wants to take that one?
I can jump on that a little bit if you guys want.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's kind of the same way that we see. We don't have to necessarily like hypothesize on this too much. We can see these types of things unfolding in previous generations. Like, so as you saw, I'm from Canada, and so I grow up in an area where everybody idolizes and sees the big NHL players, and people play hockey throughout the years, and then they end up meeting communities in their junior, senior high. They end up going to play collegiate level hockey, or they start joining rec leagues in hockey. Despite them seeing all of these famous hockey players that are kind of coming up through now, making millions of dollars, it's not necessarily de-incentivizing them to go to school, to find communities, to do well in school. What it is doing is giving them a purpose to pursue life with, right? When you have something that you love to do, that bleeds into all other areas. So when you find somebody who idolizes, maybe it's, like Pokimane or XQC or whoever it might be, it's not necessarily that they want their job, but they want to be part of the community that person is in, and they love it. It gives them purpose, it gives them drive, and that drive is going to bleed into their academics, it's going to bleed into their other hobbies, it's going to bleed into every aspect of their life. And so just because there's these big streamers and big gamers that are making the big dollars, it does not mean that it's de-incentivizing them to do these other things. In fact, it is motivating them to do these other things, because they now have a purpose of belonging and a sense of community in their life, and that just helps to support you through the entirety of life, regardless of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I think that's what the big misconception what Landon just talked about. That it's an either or. You don't game. I don't decide to game, meaning that means I don't want to go to college, or I don't want to learn, or I don't want education. We're trying to show that hey, you supplement your love for gaming with an education. Now the sky's the limit, or that or like Landon's talking about, you build that network of friends and trusted networks that can help you achieve your goals and be successful. It's not an either or. It's a matter of like, if I was a professional athlete playing a traditional sport, I would never recommend that they would not get their education as well, just because you could play a sport, because you could have an injury at any moment and your career's done. Same thing for professional esports athletes. I mean, they have health issues as well, and their time where they could be successful as a pro is only so long. So we would always encourage, find out what your long-term strategy is going to be. What is it you're passionate about doing for the rest of your life, and how can this play into that? And it doesn't have to be that either or.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love telling a little story about our business partner, Doug Kennedy and Tracy Kennedy, because they brought PUBG, Rocket League, Guitar Hero, Rock Band. They started with Dance Pad Revolution for weight loss, back from the early 2000s. And Doug, as a business partner and friend of ours, loves to tell us this story where he helps developers through his studio develop games and then go on to be in the industry. And he works with them when they're young, and he mentors and he gives back to the community. So this one time he went down to Florida to deliver a first check to one of his developers, and he knocked on that door, and the mom answered, and the mom was screaming at this young man who was playing video games, because parents don't get it, right? And Doug walked into this little argument about getting this kid off video games, and he's like, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you know who I am and why I'm here?" And she's like, "No, who are you?" And he's like, "Well, my name's Doug Kennedy, and I'm here to give your son a check." And that check was for a substantial amount of money that came from work, development. So it's an ageless profession that if you put in the work and you put in the time, there are so many different facets within esports and gaming and development all throughout the ecosystem where kids can make a good solid learning and living if they learn the skills. And I think that's what's really cool about the group that you see here. And through ESTA, we are a synergistic group that's figuring out ways to help our companies give back to the community and create these pathways for people in all different kinds of ways, even behind the scenes. And I love telling that story because it just, as a parent, I have parents of kids who are big gamers too. And it's that reminder that, you are learning something really awesome, and it's our lifeline. So get on board, and gaming is here to stay, and the digital world is our lifeline. So let's make it productive, no matter what we're doing.
Well said. Patricia said, we have to swallow our pride is what it comes down to validate a path that we may not understand. And I think she's talking about parents. When we don't understand at first, we need to divorce our own ideas and trust our kids to find their own way. And that's just well said, Patricia, because she said she used to perhaps, had the same ideas. And it's so well said. And when you think about regular sports, right, the non-esports sports, you think about, let's say, a high-powered basketball player. But that guy has a coach. That guy has a lawyer. That guy has a business manager, right? All of those people support him, right? Or her, right? Supporting his work. It's the same thing in esports, right? You have the people who are playing, but then you have all these other people, right, that support the industry. And I think that's what you guys are, trying to educate us, the public, about, like, hey, it's not just gaming chair and doing this. It's the design. It's the other. I know a lawyer who's doing very well in esports, right? It's so many other things tied to the industry. And so that, I think, in you guys' messaging needs to be out there more and more and more. Even though esports is doing so well, I think it could even do better if we continue to educate the public that it's not just blue lights in the basement, so to speak, right? It's not just like, right, Landon? It's not just Landon in the basement.
Well, just like what Amy was saying, very similarly, there's a local mayor in a city near us here in Sacramento. His son, 14, 15 years old, was a gamer, started becoming a major influencer online. His dad didn't even realize how big he was getting. And then he came to us and said, hey, I realized a couple of years ago, my son's got like 500,000 followers. And like now he's monetizing this before he even gets out of high school. And so he's like, what do I do with this? I realized right then and there's something to this. And there's an industry out there that's just looking to be tapped into. And he's one of our biggest supporters now. We're actually collaborating with their city, working with the school districts to talk about, jobs. Like everybody wants their kid to be passionate, to find a good job. And this is an area that we think is very exciting.
Awesome. And I'll kind of tag on to that question one last one kind of story here for my own journey, because this question about the education pathways is really, I would say the issue that my mom and I faced when I was kind of coming up. And when I was in my late teens or, 16, 17 kind of area, I wanted to be a content creator more than anything. So I started creating the Call of Duty montages, Modern Warfare 2, whatever it might be. And of course, there was definitely a huge resistance against that, right? Because this is early day esports. This is 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And there's huge resistance, but my mom eventually got on board and she didn't understand it, but she let me do my thing. And while I was creating that content, trying to create montages, I downloaded a program called Cinema 4D because I wanted to create some 3D intros to my videos. And I started playing around with 3D animation, and I was playing around to put that into my videos. And then I kind of fell in love with that process, and I ended up applying for a school, and I went down to Tennessee for a year to do character animation because I learned I didn't want to create content, but I wanted to create the characters in the game. Turns out I'm terrible at art, so that didn't work out, but it was part of the journey, right? And then from there, I realized that I had a love of working with people, and so why would I not merge up with gamers? So I got a degree in psychology, followed up with a master's in performance psychology, all to bring back in esports, because I started poking around the content creation, right? Like I saw the early day phase, the early day optic, and I wanted to be that. But through that, I now have a master's, I'm starting a PhD, and I'm working on all these things in esports, all because I created a couple of videos and I learned how to do 3D animation in those videos.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome story.
One of the things that we really focus on with the majoring in gaming is listing college programs above and beyond, the typical. But we have the Berklee School of Music, for musical composition. We have art schools. We have storytelling. There's just so many aspects to it. And there is the coaching, there is the management, there's all of these different components. And just to kind of piggyback on that, not every kid knows they want to go into gaming or esports, but they end up in college. And one of the things that will keep kids in college is playing esports with a group in a club or as a varsity sport. And, in the older days, the thing that every kid was looking for to go to college was the apartment style dorm, right? And then it became, the beautiful rec centers that they all had. And now it's these gaming arenas that everyone is looking for. Yeah. That's the new shiny thing that's keeping kids in school. So it's, let's help get them there, and then let's help keep them there with the support and the camaraderie.
That's right. Well, I'm going to wrap us up. We're at 37 minutes, which is nice and tidy, but I'm going to have you guys give a last word as to why should people come to Chicago to see you guys, right? So I'm going to start with Amy. Why should people come to Chicago to hear you and to hear your pitch and to see you?
Well, Chicago is where it's all going to happen. So you have to come to Chicago. You have to be there. But this is an amazing group of people. Everyone you see, everyone you will see. This is where, great things happen when good people come together. And that's what ESTA is doing. That's what esports does. To Landon's point, to Chris's point, to Gordon's point. Esports is what brought all of us together so that we can help more people in all of our different capacities. So if you want to be part of that great energy, great synergy, you want to see success in esports, whether you're a parent, whether you're a player, whether you're a company, then be part of where the action is happening and get involved, because nothing great happens alone. To someone else's comment, you have to have a team. Absolutely. Yeah. And you create that energy and that synergy to make things actually occur. So you got to come to Chicago to see it, be part of it, and help it go further, because none of us do these things alone. We do them as a team.
Well said. Well said. All right. Who wants to go next? Chris.
I will.
I'll go next.
Okay. Chris will go next. All right. Then Gordon.
So Amy, you said it so beautifully. And I'll just add one thing. Come to Chicago and meet us and figure out how you fit in, because everybody fits in somewhere, and we're all finding the different ways that we're fitting together. And I'll bet you there are ways that we have no idea about, and we want to know. So come meet us and let's see where we all fit together.
Great point. Gordon?
Yeah, and I'll just echo, I think passion breeds passion, right? So when you're around people with energy, like in ESTA, it's amazing, because you start to feed off of the energy, and then you get ideas, and the ideas get going. And I think that's where great things happen, is when you start feeding off the energy and great ideas and innovation from other folks. And that's why we're going. We can't wait to, meet face to face with some of the folks we've only been able to meet online to now. I can't wait to sit in a room somewhere and just get a corner and go over some ideas with all these folks. That's why I'm going. I can't wait to bring my notebook and all the ideas that we have. And just quickly, I wanted to answer the Fire Sticks Gaming. He was asking, when is our tournament? September 9th to 11th, but I'll respond to the comments later after this video. But yeah, I can't wait because of the energy of the folks that I've gotten to meet already. And I can't wait to be there in person and go into a deeper dive with those folks.
Perfect. And last but by no means least, Landon.
I think probably the biggest reason you should come to Chicago is how else are we going to trade gamer handles to play some Valorant together, right? Like, what else is there? No, I'm just kidding. I think, one of the things I've started doing in my career is I started taking on a lot of mentees and trying to work with people to try to get them into the industry. The thing that I tell across the board, regardless of what career you want in esports, the thing that you need to focus on is your network, your reputation, and your experience. Mm-hmm. You might not get like something tangible from being in Chicago, but what you will be doing is starting to build those three things. And when it comes down to it, when you want to, and this is what really hard lesson I learned in my journey is when you want to get into the industry, those three things are more important than credentials, more important than almost anything: your network, your reputation, your work experience. So just by being at these events, you are starting to lay the foundation for that. And that is what it's all about if you're thinking about the long term. Awesome. And also to play Valorant.
Of course. Well, I couldn't have said it any better, right? So, you guys have said everything I would have said. Again, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I'm encouraging you to get your tickets. If you're not a member, become a member so that you could be in the next group of pitchers next year, right? The next class, and come to Chicago and be part of the conversation. We are a big tent organization. Everyone's welcome, and it's going to be an amazing time of networking and just meeting new people. So we look forward to seeing you in Chicago. So now we'll do a bye-bye wave, and then hopefully our assistant will just
everybody.
Would shut us off.
Bye. See you in Chicago.
See you in Chicago. And we hope that Lindsay, our assistant, will just cut